Today's matchup. Hero. KeeN. Cure. Solar.
And we're back, ready to eliminate one of our two players. It's going to be KeeN versus Solar here for Group B elimination match in the GSL Code S. I think Solar should take this. That being said, Cure did kind of bop Solar.
Yeah, Solar did not look too great against Cure, but also, like, let's be real, Cure came out with some pretty creative builds that almost felt like he was prepared just to snipe Solar. So,
yeah,
I mean, we absolutely have not seen Solar at his full potential. This is a guy that won the last GSL Super Tournament, so it's going to be, I think, an uphill battle for KeeN more than anyone, but who knows, maybe he'll surprise us here with a win.
Yeah, I guess the thing is KeeN looks to be playing pretty straight up, and yeah, I guess the rushes and the kind of crazy builds that Cure did, it doesn't really, like right now with Solar, I just don't even know where he's at.
Yeah.
I can't tell you if he's in good shape or not, because the ways that he lost, not to take away from what Cure did, but it's like I don't know what a macro game looks like with Solar. I don't know what he's got planned. So I feel like late into Group B, we're going to get an idea of how he can play and what he's got planned for us.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy now, after we had Cure advance first in this group, that, from here on out, only 2 players can advance. So either Solar or Hero are going to be eliminated, but before then we have to eliminate one of these players from this tournament tasteless.
Crazy, man. We're going to now load up our map. It's Royal Blood, KeeN versus Solar. The elimination match, the best of 3, starts now.
Guangdong Freaks. KeeN. Onside Gaming. Solar.
Okay.
No proxy barracks this time here for KeeN.
Yeah, nothing too crazy so far.
Yeah, and he seems pretty reserved overall in TVP against Hero earlier today. So I wonder if that's just kind of some approach that he's taking overall to the game of StarCraft 2 right now, to be a little bit more reserved, conservative, and play for the long macro game, or if he's going to try and mix it up.
Yeah, sometimes that's the trick, right? I think a lot of players that feel not confident try to do a lot of weird stuff, and then they get kind of hooked on doing weird stuff because the weird stuff is the only success they find. If you have a player who maybe isn't performing as well as his peers, it's better to just actually force them to really play hard macro games and really try to go head-to-head. And it's almost like you're trying to just build up muscle in that area.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to play around weaknesses. And it was cool to see him do this really great macro game to start the day off against, of all people, Hero, where I feel like Hero is probably the scariest player to play a macro game against because he just sets up to punish that so easily.
Certainly.
And even if you try to cheese Hero, he's probably already doing something weird to start, so you're going to probably not get to execute what you want to do.
Yeah, or at least not to plan, because often things can go quickly awry against Hero, particularly in that matchup too. I mean, TVP against Hero, one of the scarier matchups and player matchups that exists in StarCraft 2 today in the entire pro scene. And Solar, another one of those Zergs that kind of has a quite aggressive playstyle at times. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some pushes coming out of Solar here against KeeN. We didn't really get to see exactly what Solar's game plan is in ZVT coming into today, with just how kind of rapidly Cure was able to close the walls in on him in the first series. So I'm excited to see what he has in store for us.
Yeah, and to start things off, look, it's just a Reaper Scout here. The 3rd command center is started, so that's going to give us a real idea of kind of what he's got in store, which is really just macro at this point in time. Now, Solar's somebody where if he can spot this is happening, sometimes he does do something crazy and cheesy. That might be maybe a couple of years ago. He might have decided to be a bit more conservative in the around now, but let's see if he can scout this. It's not the hardest command center to find. Kind of sticking out on the edge if you were to get an Overlord over there.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at the mini-map and see exactly where the Overlords are positioned. I don't think he has anything.
Nothing near.
Yeah, nothing near that. I don't see him potentially getting, well, I guess he might go for Overlord Speed to get a full scout, but, you know, against a player like KeeN, and I mean, I don't mean this as a dig at KeeN in any way, but Solar is just such a solid macro Zerg that if he's able to just kind of play his own game and play conserved and defensively back at home, I mean, he's going to be feeling confident here against KeeN, not only in this map, but in this series. So, you know, this third CC, it might just go unscouted. Solar might be like, okay, I'm just going to, you know, play more safely at home. I'm not going to spend all this money on, you know, Overlord Speed or anything like that.
Right.
Just try to focus on getting my queen count up, trying to build up the sort of defense that can come against anything. And if my opponent gets away with a greedy third CC, it's okay. I can still play that game.
There are ways to approach the game where you're not that concerned. You kind of have a well-rounded approach to everything overall. He is going to send this Overlord up here and try to see what he can't find. It is going to get spotted with the Vikings, so he's going to commit in. He's not going to get any further intel. The command center is way far out. If you can get deep enough in there and then you see that, you know, the rest of those barracks are also making, then you can tell just by seeing that those aren't finished yet that there must be a command center that was made. But I don't think he got in there and really got that figured out. So, I mean, we'll see, you know, what exactly Solar's going to do. It's hard to say if he's behind or not, because Terran's not going to attack out just yet.
Yeah, and I think for Solar also, seeing the Viking out like that also tells you that KeeN's not going to be playing hyper-aggressively, because the Viking doesn't really mesh well with many attacking units here in TBZ. It's more about scouting denial.
Yeah,
so,
it's like, I don't want you to see what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So, all right, well,
like,
you know.
like think back to the games that we saw Bjorn play in Group A, and if he went for a Viking instead of a medevac in some of those games when he wants to do those big Marine pushes, like that just doesn't work straight up. So Solar doing a couple big rounds of drones after seeing that Viking. He's going to have a good idea of what's going on here for KeeN in just a moment with that third CC going down to get planted. And KeeN, it looks like he's happy just to continue to power up back at home. He's going for 1-1 upgrades, third CC now planned, just playing a nice, slow game.
Yeah, it's going to be a quiet game to start things off. It looks like we might have the first little bit of action here as the two medevacs are going to come across the map and try to maybe kill some creep, but obviously this isn't going to be any real commitment. One Link does kill one SCV back there. And we're seeing the balancing act now from the Zerg of trying to drone up as much as possible while having a responsible enough amount of roaches to not die, to not take a true beating here. Is the Terran actually going to go into the main now? It looked like he was pointed up in that direction.
I think so. He should be popping into that main at any moment. Solar right now playing a more roach-heavy style, only has 10 links, so it might take him a minute to get here into the main base and actually stop this drop. We'll see if KeeN's able to get any drone kills, but no, Solar with lightning-quick reactions there, pulling every single drone away, even the drone that was still mining that gas. So no drone losses here, just a little bit of lost mining time.
Yeah, the roaches are moving in a very single-file fashion, which is making them a little bit clunky against the Marines. They ultimately do get up there close enough in time. They kill off about one medevac worth of units. The Infestation Pit and the Baneling's Nest come down. Zerg is now on 4 bases, the fourth being taken at 12 o'clock. The third base is kicked in now for KeeN, and so we're going to start to get into the macro phase where Terran's going to be looking for opportunities to try to come out and take a fight, and the Zerg is going to start to wane off of droning and instead go into upgrading, tacking, and making attacking units.
Yeah, and I think that pressure is probably going to start to mount once all of these key upgrades come in for the Terran Bio armies. Right now, he's still just powering up at home. He's trying to find some damage here with these Marines, and actually this is a nice attack over here on the left side. I missed this on the mini-map. Woodermine's getting in position here, going to try and deflect these Lings. Actually, a lot of splash damage coming in on those Marines, and they get cleaned up.
Yep, so he's going to take this infantry out now. And, you know, it's not really making that much of a dent. The supply is starting to spike up. Now, remember that when you see roaches in a game, you know, they're going to always be ahead in supply, but they're not roaches being made right now. So we see those roaches are out, but he's already actually droning up, making a lot of Lings and getting everything else out here. So this is a pretty substantial lead. KeeN has not fully pushed yet. He's just been dropping and harassing. But it looks...
Game paused.
Oh, uh-oh.
Have a pause here. So KeeN
Okay.
perhaps with some technical problem. And we'll see if we can get that sorted in just a moment. But yeah, with the way things have been standing so far, I like Solar's position more. KeeN is going for a lot of, you know, different drops, but hasn't really been able to get too much damage done so far.
Yeah.
And at the same time, he's been bleeding out a lot of Marines. And I mean, usually the way these things go, if you're going to play this kind of macro bio-heavy style, is you really want to snowball that bio count so that you can take these big trades and set up arcs and, pull away, split away from the banelings, but losing Marines like that, it takes a little bit of the oomph out of your army. So
yeah, well, it's like you're trading Marines for roaches. Like, this doesn't really do anything. And the roaches are basically like a stopgap for the rest of the tech. I mean, they're there to soak damage so that the Zerg can finish teching up and taking the rest of the map. It looks like they're probably going to be unpausing in a moment once our ref says it's okay. So whatever the issue was, it's been resolved. But we are seeing these drops not really have the kind of impact I think they have to have if the way that Terran ultimately wins almost every TVZ, which is with a push. Usually that's on the back of all these successful drops that have killed drones, that have destroyed tech, and done you name it, but certainly not what we've seen from KeeN so far.
All right, so we are back in the game now here. KeeN going to continue to push forward with his bio ball in the middle of the map as we start to get our bearings here again on Royal Blood. And KeeN, losing no momentum here with that pause, is going to be attacking over here into the third base of Solar. Not able to find too much damage, though, just trading out a little bit of bio for some Zerg units, but...
Yeah, again, it's the same idea. Can he come in here and actually, get much done, or are you just going to trade out infantry? He's going to drop down here once more.
The trades up until this point have been pretty good, but if these medevacs start to fall and all of the bio gets cleaned up, I mean, only, what, 4 or 5 units getting out of that? It's not the best possible trade there for KeeN. It's also not the worst. It's just not, building the momentum that you really want here as Terran. You want to start to slow down the Zerg and prevent them from playing their game, but Solar, he's happily been able to get up to, I mean, what's soon going to be 85 drones without too much of a dent in his ego at all.
Oh, God, even takes out that medevac at the last second. So, just so you guys know, the screen is frozen right now for KeeN. His Discord crashed, so that's why. He's not very still when he plays or anything like that.
Hyper-focused right now, Tasteless.
He's statue-like at this moment. So, yeah, we see the roaming. Now, the good thing is that even though there's not a lot of damage getting done here from KeeN, he is actually expanding at a pretty scary rate. He's taking 2 more bases, both towards the bottom center. There's another attack coming up over here towards 12 o'clock that we're about to catch over here on camera.
And we're starting to get some real damage in here for KeeN. At first it was kind of slow and trades were quite even, but being able to kill a hatchery over there on the left side, also kill the spawning pool. Right now, Solar, he can't make links and he can't research Adrenal, which is something he desperately wants to do. So KeeN gonna pull away from this position, but gotta hand it to him. The past couple drops have been very effective.
Yeah, it was like things were not going great until suddenly they were. And let's say that these drops can remain active and basically be a big distraction right now for Solar. Solar's not going to have any way to come across the map and take out these fresh bases. And if KeeN can basically just stay ahead of bases for a few minutes, he'll just win this game.
And doing a really good job of using the terrain here on Royal Blood to his best advantage is KeeN as he just continually harasses that critical 4th base there for Solar. And now coming with a bio on the left side. Actually some missed micro there from Solar. Some drones were pulled by accident. Army also out of position, and the 3rd hatch is going to go down. And Tasteless, I can feel the momentum swinging now in KeeN's favor as he just continuously takes good trades.
Yeah, I mean, this is looking so strong so far. He's continuing to kite. I got to say, I almost don't believe my eyes, the fact that KeeN, it started out kind of lackluster, and now the game of catch-up is really starting to happen. But the medevacs are beginning to get cleaned up. I don't see a lot more units out on the map. I don't see SCVs at that last base we just looked at. The question, I guess, is going to be, can Solar find some counterplay?
Yep, another drop here in the main base will get cleaned up as those Vipers take care of the medevacs. But KeeN, he is not going to stop the pressure now coming through the main base. And this is one of the only full mining bases here for Solar. It's going to quickly get sniped down by this heavily upgraded bio army. And I mean, Solar right now, he has 89 workers, but he doesn't really have any place to mine. His income, it's starting to dwindle here from this pressure by KeeN.
I feel like he's just lost. I feel like KeeN was actually just playing such a better game, getting like 2%, then 5%, then 10% ahead. And we're looking at a Zerg that's on 4 bases. Now, Zerg is still fighting back. The supplies are still somewhat even. But, you're not supposed to be even on bases. If you're Zerg, you're supposed to be ahead. You actually have to be ahead or you're basically behind. So the game's whole economy is designed that the Zerg has to basically get more of the map. And now we see a bunch of Banes getting shut down. And, you know, when you start to lose Banes like that, especially if the Ultimates gets shoot away, you don't really have anything that can actually obliterate large chunks of infantry.
Yeah, this army might just be too much as the reinforcements are coming in here for Solar, but they're coming in just bits and pieces, and KeeN is just continuously parade pushing across the map. And this army here is still fighting. I thought for sure that would get cleaned up at least a little bit, but we might just see KeeN overpower Solar here in the middle of the map.
This is inspiring play here from KeeN. I can't believe it. GG, he did it. KeeN, I mean, no wonder he was able to hang with Hero.
Yeah.
He's just playing the straight up style. His camera's frozen, by the way.
I guarantee you he's a little bit happier with that win than he looks on screen.
Called Medusa on his Discord, and now he's frozen forever.
But yeah, it feels like, at least in that game, it felt like for a long time the two of them were kind of like doing this dance, like playing tango, and Solar was, you know, right there in lockstep, and he was able to hold on to anything KeeN threw his way until suddenly he wasn't. And KeeN did not let the pressure stop. He just kept mounting it. He would parade push. He would go for drops in different sections of the map. He would go for not only hatcheries, but also for critical infrastructure. I mean, taking out that spawning pool when it's researching adrenal glands and Solar desperately wants to get more lings out on the map for map control was huge. And KeeN just able to play about as straight up a macro game as it possibly gets. I mean, really fast 3cc, going for a fast double engineering bay as well, going for the 4th cc behind the pressure.
It's funny because, like, look, I've been casting KeeN for so long, and I'm kind of used to where I have seen him at, and he's good, okay? He looks way better than I have casted him, or the games I have cast of him is what I'm trying to say. He is actually just kind of outmaneuvering Solar. And by the way, it looked like a rough start. It wasn't like Solar, you know, got hurt by the first big drop. Sometimes we have games where, like, they just miss where the drop is, and, like, that's enough damage that it starts to compound. In this game, Solar was doing a very good job at playing defense. We were even talking about it before the pause that this doesn't really look good. You know, he's trading Marines for Roaches, which is kind of what the Zerg wants. But he just kept juggling. He kept throwing enough problems out there that the Zerg couldn't keep up. And when he started to destroy the hatcheries, that's where we saw, okay, there's actually a possibility this might just be Solar getting flushed out.
Yeah, we just reached a breaking point, and Solar suddenly was not able to put out any of the fires that were getting created. And I'm loving what we're seeing out of KeeN today. He looked very good in the first macro game that he played against Hero. And game number 2, it was a little bit less shaky. I mean, he did get unlucky there, not having energy for scans to deal with the DTs, and that just sent the game off the rails. But KeeN, when he gets to play his macro game, he is looking solid in multiple matchups right now. I was very impressed with that. You know, we started that game, and I was talking about how maybe if I'm Solar, if I put myself in Solar's shoes, I'm just going to play a conservative game because I feel like if it goes late, if I get to macro up the way that I want to comfortably, I'm going to win. But maybe now I'm not so sure because KeeN, he looked on point.
He did. He looked very good. KeeN's camera's still frozen. Probably will stay frozen until we go to our commercial break. Whether that KeeN wins or not, I don't know. But KeeN with the problems with the camera. Discord emotes coming up. The camera's crashing. But it's working.
It's
working
it's
for
his
him.
mojo, man.
Yes, that's what he needs.
He's stealing it from Discord and injecting it into his veins.
Yes.
It's giving him the power he needs to win as we go to match point here.
Guangdong Freaks, KeeN. Onside Gaming, Solar.
Okay, so we're going on into this game, and I would not be surprised if KeeN just plays another ordinary. And when I say ordinary, I don't mean it in a derogatory way.
No, it's...
But I mean, like, you know, what KeeN's doing are, like, builds you teach your friend who's already pretty good at the game and just needs, like, maybe he plays Protoss or Zerg, and you're like, okay, you want to learn Terran, do this build.
Right.
And just macro up, and you'll get the hang of the matchup over time.
It's like vanilla ice cream, but really good vanilla ice cream.
Really high quality.
Very high quality. You could taste the vanilla beans in there.
It's chocolate, but it's like the best chocolate you've ever had.
Yeah, it's simple, but it's good. And KeeN actually, here on match point, already throwing down that command center. We got a CC first, I think. I mean,
Oh,
KeeN,
yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Liking this play from him.
By the way, different approaches here with our two Terrans today, from Cure to KeeN.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
I mean, it's one of the things you can celebrate about StarCraft is that the different play styles do require just such different approaches. So, there's so many ways to come in here and try to play with a race. Now, in this game, it's Command Center first. This was popular last year. I want to say like Season 2 of last year. This was like, I think we saw this more often than we didn't, but I don't know that we saw it with double gas.
Yeah, I don't recall exactly. I mean,
I don't know the exact build order from this. Normally I watch for if it's okay, so Command Center first, then I watch and see if there's a third Command Center that's going to be made.
Right. I would expect KeeN, just given the way that he's played today, that he is going to go for a third Command Center, perhaps behind a little bit of tech considering he has those 2 gases.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he wants to tech up. I'm almost wondering, like, could there be any kind of mech play? Because we already saw that with Cure today.
True.
The thing about a quick Command Center is it doesn't really dictate that you have to do anything specifically after that.
No, it's just pure greed.
Yeah, it's a greedy opener that when you get away with, you go, well, all right, you're like, you're a few seconds ahead in this race, and that means a lot in RTS. Is things all build off of each other. But yeah, I look at this and I go, okay, so what kind of game do you want to play? I see the factory coming. And I want to know, is it going to be another Command Center? Is it going to be some kind of 2-base powering play? Does he throw down a bunch of barracks after this? And I don't think we've had Command Center first into 2 factory mech, or if we did, I just don't remember it.
Yeah, I don't remember a game that went exactly like that, but we'll see exactly what happens. Is Solar actually with just 1 Ling? Perhaps it was 2 coming in here and getting an SCV kill and a full scout, so he should know by the timings that this is CC first, and should have a good read on exactly what KeeN is capable of doing as the Reaper finally does come back to clean that up. And just going to be a 1-1-1 opening here for KeeN. Marine in production.
I like this a lot from KeeN. It looks like, especially if the Zerg isn't going to attack you at all outright, you're going to get all your tech up. It's still ambiguous as far as what the Terran's plans are, which I think makes the Zerg a little bit stressed out. Sometimes if you see a very greedy quick expand, it's almost nice to see them then try to attack you right after it because you kind of know what you're up against. Where here, it's still not clear. We don't have any Overlords close enough to check for the 3rd Command Center, which is not down yet, but instead it's going to be tech that's going in nicely in a couple different directions.
Ooh, and it's going to be Cloak Banshee with Hellions.
Yeah, very cool.
Okay. Yeah, KeeN mixing it up a little bit. And, if he came into today with this kind of a game plan of showing some pretty conservative macro games and then switching it up halfway through the day, that could be a kind of good approach here. As
I like it.
For Solar, I mean, you just played against 3 CC Greed. KeeN played a very clean macro game, was able to beat you in that game. And now to see KeeN go CC first and follow that up with Cloak Banshee here, it might catch him by surprise.
Looks like this Overlord is going to be picked off, so he's not going to get that important intel that would let him know exactly what he's up against. So the ambiguity is huge right now. I guess he did get a little bit of vision in that.
Yeah, I think that was from the Zergling earlier, but
Okay.
he doesn't know exactly what the setup
Doesn't see what
here.
it is now, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you see that set of buildings, there's so many different things it could be depending on what you attach to what add-on.
Yeah, the way that you can configure that with all the potential different add-ons, all the unit compositions you can go for, it's crazy. And we now have a healthy number of Hellions here, I think 7 on the field, roving towards Solar's side of the map. Going to see if they can control the creep spread just a little bit here, potentially even get some drone kills. There aren't too many Lings here, but KeeN playing nice and conservatively, only goes for 2 there as Solar was for a moment attacking his own extractor.
The double eBay is going to be finishing up, so this is going to be just your standard bio. Just a very, very strong setup. We don't have the 4th base yet for Solar. I think some of this might have been him holding back because he's not totally sure what he's up against. And let's not forget, the loss against Cure in Game 2 is probably still echoing in the mind of Solar.
True.
Where he just sort of didn't have a read in the mid-game and just died outright. That actually has happened a couple times so far in this season of GSL, where it's like when we saw Beyond just move across the map and just kill the Zerg right away, where he's like, oh, I'm just not ready. And so that might have delayed his 4th base, which, long term, if you don't get your 4th base up in time, you're in a weaker position later on. Terran's already landing his 3rd. We did have the Spire start for the Zerg as well.
Yeah, so Solar opting for the Spire here, and now coming in with this Overseer. Does get zoned away a little bit by KeeN, and now here at 6:30, this is kind of late, but this might catch Solar by surprise again. These two Banshees coming in. There is a Spore Crawler in position, but KeeN, if he plays this right, should be able to get a good number of drone kills. 5 already to start things out. Now moving to the third base, we'll see what he's able to find.
Yeah, I like the roaming. I think this is a cool way to handle this, to come in here and get some free kills. And, you know, it's not that easy to catch these Banshees. I think he should be able to get this one, since I think that was maybe a little bit too confident there to actually go up from the main in between the third and then into the second.
Yeah, hugging that corner a little bit too tight there, and that Banshee does get taken down. But
so there's a lot of mutas coming here. And I think this might catch KeeN off guard. And this may be the ace up the sleeve here for Solar, because Roaches are one thing. You don't normally fight Roach and then Muta with Ling and Bane.
Yeah, it's very gas intensive to go from Roaches into Mutalisk. So KeeN might not be anticipating this, especially coming in here with these Roaches and Lings already engaging. I'm not sure actually if he got confirmation of the Spire with the Banshees. Were you able to see that?
I don't think he did.
Okay, well, he knows now.
Well, he wouldn't have been out this far if he had known mutas were going to be at play, because the idea is that you're such a good body block with the Queens.
Yeah.
Because the idea is that if there are no mutas, you could pick up endlessly and run away and sort of, you know, build up damage. But I think Solar with a pretty genius muta play blindsides KeeN. Now, KeeN is massing up Marines, so this isn't going to be a threat long term, but it is going to be a pretty big interruption to the momentum he's had so far.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for KeeN to kind of retain his forces on the map, because Ravager Ling Bane seems to be the composition of choice right now here for Solar, and that packs a punch. There are a lot of situations where you might find yourself in a position where you think you're safe, and then you realize you've actually overextended moving out in the middle of the map. And if you do that normally, just as you said, you pick up in the medevacs, you go back home, everything is gravy. But here with these Mutalisks out on the field, it's a little bit more dangerous. So KeeN instead going to play conservative, safely back at home, morph these Hellions into Hellbats, build that 4th CC, not on the expansion, but back by the natural where he can defend it. And for now, just continue to power up. He's got 2-2 coming, as well as that 4th CC, adding in 3 more barracks, a second factory, gearing up for that late game.
Yeah, I do think that Solar's in a very good spot. I think he kind of shut down the nice setup that KeeN had here. Now the mutas, again, not that much of a threat for that much longer, but the question is can Solar then flip this into some tech that is going to be able to fight this? The creep is actually pretty good, maybe not so great in the middle after he wiped that out, but top and bottom on the map, it is looking pretty strong.
Yeah, there's a lot of different avenues you got to spread your creep on here at Gresvin, so Solar doing a good job of that, as KeeN coming in with a clutch scan will catch the hive timing as it just starts to morph. I believe he might have seen... Actually, I'm not sure what that one saw. Was there a Hydralisk den in the main base there for Zerg? I could have sworn I had a glimpse of it.
There might have been. I mean, he might just not be making out of that yet.
I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. All right, Solar coming in here, has a nice favorable trade there with some good Baneling connections, and these mutas just continuing to provide value right here. This medevac's going to have to unload, and these units are all but dead.
And Zerg is really starting to grow into their side of the map.
Oh, it was a Hydralisk den. Man, Solar's really filling out his entire tech tree. He's getting Roaches, he's getting Ravagers, Banelings, some Mutalisks, now Hydralisks. He's in a pretty comfortable spot. Really, all Zerg tools at his disposal as he comes in. KeeN might have overextended coming out of the third base ramp as Solar just attacks into this position. And at the end of the day, KeeN will be able to survive, but he lost a lot of bio, a lot of critical units there, some siege tanks going down too. Gonna try and get some momentum back by cleaning up creep here at the 6 o'clock position.
Yeah, this is some pretty good creep cleaning, to be honest with you. Solar's had to really go back and lick his wounds. That being said, he is maxed out. He's going to have a real threat of an army that I think is not going to be easy to engage with. We're starting to see KeeN get pushed away at both the bottom and the middle. KeeN is continuing to expand and looking good in that front. But Solar's doing his job. He's taking over the entire right side of the map and continuing to grow.
Yeah, and it seems like Solar just continuously wants to trade here while he's maxed. He doesn't want to play the game where he's just trying to bank a bigger and bigger stockpile of resources. He wants to trade these out because, you know, he's figuring that KeeN isn't at maxed yet. Otherwise, KeeN would probably be more active on the map already. So, you know, Solar just kind of consuming the map on his side, doing a good job of also rebuilding these creep tiers as we get a quick look at the units lost there. A lot of losses on both sides as KeeN just continuing the pressure, a little bit reminiscent of the last game.
Yeah, the only difference between this game and the last game is I don't think we've seen KeeN find his edge. We've been in this game for 11 minutes and 30 seconds, which means it's going to be not easy. Oh, hold on a second. A lot of Banes coming forward. All right, trades out pretty nicely. 2-2 about to finish here for the Zerg. And yeah, you know, we haven't seen KeeN find that moment where he's really getting opportunities, but he is continuing to build up pressure here in the middle of the map. The siege tank line is looking really scary. I don't think these Banes should be coming this far forward.
Yeah, Baneling's going a little bit off creep, not getting the best possible connections there. But again, this is Solar leveraging his massive economy and his base lead with 85 drones and just trading out resources once he reaches max. It might not be the best trade he could possibly take. It might not be optimal, but it still gives him an edge because now KeeN, he's only down to 165 supply.
Yeah, and I think if Solar's going to win this long term, he just has to keep the supply oppressed for KeeN. He just has to basically keep that low enough that
the big attack coming in, Tasteless. Those biles on those siege tanks bunched up is just chef's kiss as all three tanks get blasted, and Solar with a big step here in the middle of the map. KeeN absolutely overstaying his welcome after the last engage, and we might see Solar ride this momentum into a win.
Yeah, he may have actually done it. I think he traded really nicely. He needs to go back, remake. Now, obviously, Ravager's never great at retreating against units that are stemmed here, but we saw the minerals plummet and the supply spike back up for Solar.
Yeah, and these are adrenal lings that he's pumping out. So once this army, you know, fully reforms with Banelings, with Lings, with Hydralisks, and Solar comes in for the next attack, unless KeeN is poised in the most defensive posture possible, it's going to be hard for him to hold on. I mean, the supply really tells the tale right now. Almost a 50% supply lead in army here for Solar as he is gunning for a fight.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough next few minutes for KeeN. He really got beaten back. It's a funny thing. If you can stay max and just keep hitting, you're probably going to win more and more and more. And we saw KeeN almost drop below 100 supply. A lot of times when you see them drop below 100 supply, that's like where they're probably close to being killed off here.
Yeah.
You can see that bases are falling in the process of this attack, which makes catching back up to the Zerg very, very difficult. And this may be just a classic ZVT victory where it's just about getting to where you need to be and then leaning on the Terran until they can't take it anymore.
Yeah, Solar's economy just overpowering right now, and KeeN, he's trying his best to hold on. He wants to keep his GSL hopes alive and does not want to go to a match point 1-1 here. He's going to give it everything he possibly has, but Solar just so powerful right now. These Adrenal Lings continuing to flood in. Liberators trying to get up in position, but it's not going to be enough. Solar takes game number 2, and we're on match point here.
Solar looking very stoic. I'm sorry, I meant to say KeeN looking stoic after that win. I messed my joke up. So, Solar wins that. Oh, look at the little dogs.
Oh,
He's got 2 dogs. No, bring
Go
the
back
dogs
to the player camera.
No. There's 2 dogs over here as well. Look, that was a very impressive game from Solar.
Yeah, Solar looked really good. I mean, after KeeN's game 1 against Hero, which, you know, admittedly he did lose that match, he still looked solid. And then game 1 against Solar, when he was allowed to just kind of play his macro game and just, you know, drop everywhere, parade push when he can, he looked really strong. So for Solar to kind of bounce back here in game 2 and not let things spiral out of control the same way they did in the previous map, I think that's going to be a boon of confidence for him coming into match 3 because keep in mind the loser of this series is out of the GSL Codex.
They're dead. Yeah. And we kill him. The floor opens up. They go, ah! It's over. Look, I mean, we had, I think, a lot of really bad games from Solar to start this off.
Yeah.
0-2 with Kier, and Kier just murders him. It's like Kier's like, watch this, and his strategy just works in the first couple minutes of him actually showing it to his opponent. And then we saw KeeN play a crazy game where he just out-macroed Solar, and I'm thinking, all right, is Solar just not in the shape we're used to seeing him be in? Excuse me. But he has come back. He's played nicely there. But, again, KeeN has shown us that he can win, so I think this is a tough one to call.
Yeah, KeeN's shown that he's comfortable in a lot of different situations. I mean, he's been able to hang with the best of them so far here in deep macro games. We'll see if he gets to play that game again here we get ready to go into map number 3 on Babylon. Both these players desperately needing a win to face Hero in the final match of Group B and advance to the round of 8. Their tournament life's on the line here.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. Babylon is where it will be settled. Who gets eliminated? Who gets to give us this exciting match versus Hero? This Cure is our only survivor for tonight. So far.
Kwangdong Freaks, KeeN. Onside Gaming, Solar.
I was almost hoping that KeeN would just completely turn this on its head and go for a proxy 3-Rax here.
Yeah, I was thinking that myself. I'm like, come on, now's your time.
But no, just going to be safe and standard. Supply depot there on the high ground. We'll see if he goes for a CC first again, too. No, just going to be a barrack, so
yeah.
Better openings here.
I mean, the CC first was cool. It does seem like we had more success when people just 2-base rushed.
Yeah, I don't know why that fell so hard out of fashion.
I mean,
feel like
it must be something where everybody online like just started stopping it.
Yeah, sometimes we see metas kind of shift in online tournaments or just an online ladder and not really at the live events, and then we're kind of like left scratching our heads like, okay, that worked for like 6 games in a row and Terran won every single time convincingly. Yeah. Why doesn't anybody try it like once now? But yeah, haven't seen too many CC first into 2-base all-in TBZ plays in quite a while. Not going to see it today as KeeN now fighting for his life here against Solar. And keep in mind, Solar and Dark, we've only played through one group, but Solar and Dark are the only 2 remaining Zergs here in the GSL Code S. If Solar loses this map, Dark in Group C is going to be the only Zerg standing heading into, I mean, the latter half of the round of 16, but also the round of 8. It's kind of crazy.
It's funny. I kind of forgot because, you know, we've already casted some good games from Zerg already. But, like, you're right. That doesn't have to be the case coming forward here. Well, I think Solar and Dark are 2 guys that could and should probably survive to the round of 8. But, you know, here we are, and it's 1-1 versus KeeN, which isn't exactly a great sign.
And the winner goes on to play Hero, too.
Yeah, and I do think Hero is the most likely one to win against both of these 2 anyways. This always happens at the start of a new year for GSL, though. We do need a little bit of time to evaluate where the players are at. We have the off season for StarCraft, and then we got to come back and be like, okay, so, you know, what have you been doing in the weeks and months we haven't seen you play?
Yeah, a lot of these guys have been absolutely grinding it in online matches since Katowice, leading up to GSL Code S's. Some very cute micro there by KeeN. I think the game count for some of the players, I can't recall who. I know Hero was grinding. I think he played something like 300+ maps in total in tournament play since Katowice, which is just absolutely crazy. Yeah. I think Cure might be one of those other players that's been grinding, but you just know that these players right now, they are giving it their absolute best. They're giving it their all. A lot of people, when they heard that GSL and StarCraft esports as a whole was downsizing a little bit, were concerned about the level of competitive play, but I've got to tell you, from the matches that we've seen so far at GSL, and not only in GSL, but in tournaments both online and offline around the world, it doesn't really feel like, you know, the competition is slowing down at all. I mean, the prize money, it might not be what it used to be, but these players, they're playing their hearts out for it.
Yeah, the games have been just incredible. It's been really fun to see that the meta continues to evolve, and you know, play styles change, and some players are improving just as KeeN has so far. This game, we have him kind of going back to what worked, at least in a broader sense, with a 3rd command center being made back at home. It seems like KeeN likes this on these big maps, to just get a 3rd command center and make the Zerg gas versus going for a command center first and then making the Zerg gas. And this allows him to kind of bulk up after the 3rd CC is made in his main, land that when it's time, when he thinks it's you know, going to be the appropriate moment. And Zerg just doesn't know what's going on.
No, this Overlord positioning a little bit unfortunate there. If he had come in closer to the top side, perhaps he would have been able to glimpse the command center, but I mean, that's part of the game here as Solar, right? You have limited information. You don't know where exactly you can scout. You can only spare so many hit points on that Overlord. So Solar, as of yet, still in the dark. 4 Hellion drop will be the opening harassment of choice here. Solar with the Zergling Scout will get a little bit more of an inkling of what's going on here. And tasteless, these 4 Hellions coming in. Let's see if Solar can react in time. Only 9 Lings on the field.
Yeah, the drones are running. Oh, they're so lined up. He picks them up and actually comes over.
Yep.
Oh my god, oh my god. I think he just wants to try to drop right on top of the drones. KeeN is so crazy in this game.
KeeN's trying to micro this medevac like it's a warp prism
It's
right
crazy.
here.
He does more damage, but ultimately it fails. He does not get more kills, and the medevac falls.
I missed that. Did the drone count, did that get reset, or was it only 3 in total? That
It was
killed
only
from
3
that?
in total.
Yeah, you want more than that from 4 Hellions, especially catching Solar a little bit out of position there. So, bit of a painful opening here for KeeN, but I mean, he has proved to be resilient in late game and the middle game overall so far today in a variety of different matchups. So, don't write him off just yet, even though that Hellion harassment didn't go his way. I mean, keep in mind, in game number 1, a lot of the early drops didn't go his way either, and he was still able to make the pendulum swing back in his favor heading into the middle game. As, you know, he's going back to his roots here. That third commander going to get planted over down at the third base. 1-1 in production, combat shields as well, and I'm guaranteeing you, once those upgrades complete, that's when he's really going to turn the pressure on.
Yeah. But, again, that failed Hellion drop, I don't want to, like, hammer on it too hard, because it's like, yeah, well, it's either going to work or it's not going to work. You're just trying to find some kind of an opportunity to do some damage here. But yeah, I mean, it didn't really get that much. And so we move forward in this game where it's going to be down to those upgrades finishing for Terran, eventually a push coming through. For now, he could try to sweep and take out these tumors.
That was a ton of creep tumors that he just killed.
Yeah.
There's all 7 of them. As Solar with a little bit of a counter attack right here coming into the third base of KeeN. He's going to pick off 4 SCVs, so already doing better than that Hellion drop did for KeeN earlier in the game. As for KeeN, if he wants to try and get the momentum going once these upgrades kick in, it's going to be critical that he keeps these units active on the map and continues to control the creep spread as he did earlier in this game, because you want to deny Zerg not only the mobility that the creep spread gives, but the vision, so that you have a little bit more of an opportunity to come in from different angles and get big damage done.
Yeah, you want to keep them guessing. 1-1's done, and so is combat shields. Let's see if Terran's going to move out in a little bit here. Zerg is going to be ready. There are a lot of roaches being made here. Their 1-1 is also not that far behind. Zerg has really cranked up the supply, but again, a lot of this is in roach. Yeah, so it can be a little bit misleading as far as who's in what position. But we've seen this from Solar before, where he likes to get a lot of Roach Ravager and try to take the Terran head on, use the corrosive biles to snipe the tanks, use the Roaches to try to just come in and topple the Marines. But look at this drop. Solar just in a bad position here. He could end up losing this hatchery basically for free.
Yeah, this hatchery in a precarious position, but Solar is almost going all in with this attack right now. Another counterattack here at the third base of Solar, going to take down some drones, but the main story here is this massive Roach Ravager attack at the natural here of KeeN. Solar ballooning at 190 supply. Very few drones back at home, so he has to get damage done here, Tasteless.
There's even a drop going on in the main. Meanwhile, it's just a question of whether or not KeeN can hold off this attack at the front. The damage beginning to spike up over here.
Yeah, KeeN's doing a good job of delivering some counter damage, but overall, Solar's getting the better trade. 20 SCVs in total, going down 72 to 47 workers as the pressure mounts here. KeeN's gonna have to evacuate this section of the map if he wants to hold on, and I'm really liking this decision by Solar to go for this timing attack. It feels like he's in a great position right now.
It was so smart. He just understood that it's okay to ignore this. It's 72 workers to 46 with the Zerg in the lead, so this is a massive amount to be ahead. And although we saw the hatchery almost get killed, and we did see the push up into the third base for the Zerg, the reality is it did not kill a hatchery for one. It did not kill anywhere near enough workers. Terran lost 20 workers just trying to control the ramp up into their natural. And I think that Solar can actually come up and set up the killing blow now.
Yeah, despite KeeN making that nice move to go down and snipe those expensive Ravagers off creep, I still feel like Solar might just have enough to power through. And you see right there on the units tab, more links in production. +2 Carapace underway, +1 melee attack on the way. He knows that this is his game to lose right now. He's not going to let KeeN take another third expansion. He's just going to set up this soft contain. And he might even be feeling confident enough to actually push up that ramp soon.
Yeah, and the truth is, even if he can't push up the ramp, Terran has to eventually push down the ramp because Terran can't get a second base, but it may be a little bit too dangerous to try to come up there with the arc that is ready, especially with 2-2 finishing here. And so he backs up. I think there's no reason to try to force a victory now from Solar's perspective. Instead, he says, you need to expand. You need to kind of come out on the map. And that means you're going to end up setting up a position I could probably attack in once more.
Even with the added efficiency of mules right now, Solar's at almost triple the mineral income here of KeeN, just flexing his economic muscle as KeeN's struggling to resaturate this 3rd and 4th base. I mean, he has the command centers. He just frankly doesn't have the army size to control them, but now's his time to start moving across the map. This is one of those moments where KeeN might actually be able to start swinging things a little bit in his favor with some good engagements if he's able to take a good fight to Solar off creep. This is a large bio ball, and bio balls, they scale a lot better than Zerg armies like this one.
This is a funny moment. He actually just picks everything up.
Yeah, this is a key moment right now. KeeN coming into the main base here of Solar. There's a lot of critical tech right here, and keep in mind that there isn't a lot of anti-air, so if this doesn't go his way, KeeN might pick up and move yet again to another base.
Well, he's targeted some of the medevacs here with the Queens. It is a kind of a single file line of Zerg units coming up, but eventually there's just not enough over here for the Terran to try to take this, and now he can get sandwiched. The medevacs are, they're still able to scoop up, but there's really not much Terran left on the ground here.
Yeah, a lot of that army was lost, but he was able to trade some of it cost efficiently, was able to kill a couple drones as well, so all hope is not lost. There might be a light here at the end of the tunnel for KeeN if he's able to get the ball rolling a little bit harder. I mean, Solar, his drone count is extremely high. It is at 80, which does surpass KeeN right now, but now that KeeN is fully saturating these bases, if he can keep Solar on his side of the map and keep cost-efficient trades like this one, there is a path to victory here.
Yeah, he has chased this back out. And, we're starting to see the drops. I mean, they're kind of becoming sparse. Lings alone can basically force the rest of this to be picked up. The Zerg has hung on, but the reality is also that KeeN is basically double expanded now. He's on 4 bases. He's continuing to push. The Zerg has really been trying to juggle too many tasks back at home. And this big distraction has kind of paid off long term. It seems like KeeN is back in this game.
Yeah, for the past couple of minutes, KeeN, he's been doing all these attacks, and none of them have been going truly wondrously for him. But notice that during all these attacks, Solar is not counterattacking KeeN at all. So he's been able to actually really rebuild his economy back up at home. And he's keeping Solar on Solar's side of the map. And losing Vipers like this, full energy Vipers, you do not want to be losing them here as Solar, as KeeN's continuing to press on. And man, Taces, I don't know how he does it. He just has so many units.
It's almost confusing to watch how good he is at just sort of fighting back and bouncing back. You can see that mechanically, KeeN has really worked on himself quite a bit. He is able to produce, he's able to macro and continue to micro around. It almost looks like Beyond from the other day, where he's just persevering through everything.
Getting flashbacks to Beyond's game 3 right now with the way that KeeN is playing, just slowly picking Solar apart and keeping Solar on his side of the map, as Solar, despite his superior economy, he's been losing a lot of momentum, and part of that is because Bio does scale better in these situations, but also it's just been KeeN's fantastic multitasking. He's not been letting up on the pressure at all. But this is a critical junction of the map right here, Tasteless. He does not want to let Solar get this base up. Solar's going to try and go for the flank. There's a lot of Widow Mines. Watch the splash damage, though.
Well, he does force this away. It's a lot of Widow Mines taken out. But can he actually take this all the way back to a base? I don't think so. It seems like KeeN has really stayed on top of the keep-up game with supply.
Yeah, KeeN's done a fantastic job of stabilizing back at home, and now Solar finally coming through with these counterattacks. I feel like this has been the missing piece of the puzzle for him for the past couple of minutes, as the 3rd and 4th base for KeeN, although they have been rally points, have been largely undefended, and you see it right now on your screen, a lot of SCVs going down. This opportunity's been open here for Solar for a while, but the pressure from KeeN has just been mounting and mounting, so he hasn't been able to do anything about it until this moment, and now, Taze's Ultras are out. Let's see if Solar can push him out.
Yeah, for Solar's sake, I'm glad he was able to set some Lings up there for the counterattack. Better that than nothing at all. And now, well, we're going to see the medevacs get chased back out. I was going to say that, now with this command center landing, it's going to be a Terran on 4 bases again, but there's actually the chance that Zerg can just counterattack in this moment. And it does look like the supplies are a little bit shaky here for KeeN.
Yeah, these past couple of trades not going KeeN's way, as Solar now finally able to leverage that lead that he has into a victory. KeeN fought on until the bitter end there in a valiant effort, but it will be Solar advancing to the final match here in Group B.
Look at the doggo.
To face Hero.
One doggo.
Spin the chair back around. I want to see the
Move
dog.
the chair. I want to see the dog. Well, this goes to our final match now.
Yeah.
Solar, hey, he's fighting back. He's looking good, but he's going to have to go up against Hero. I don't know what this is going to look like.
Yeah, it should be a fantastic match to finish off Group B. And, man, got to give props to KeeN coming in here in what is, frankly, a very stacked Group B.
Yeah.
To show up and have some great games, not only against Hero, but also against Solar. I mean, that was a 1-2 finish there in the series, and it felt very close from start to finish.
Yeah. Look, it's sad to see KeeN go, but the truth is that Solar, I think he really adjusted whatever was going wrong with his play. It did seem like Solar was maybe tilted from the games from Cure.
Maybe.
And then, KeeN plays straight up, and he's like, oh, my God, I can't,
Can't catch a break.
I can't catch a break here. He did play a very good game. KeeN, though, I love when he was on 2 bases, he actually managed to fight back to 4. He's really able to kind of be a menace to the to the Zerg on the Zerg side of the map. The problem is it is this balancing act of you want to be taking out units and trying to trade, and you unload from pushing at the third. Then you load up. You load it from the third. You push into the main. You drop there. You go back out. You try to find another location, but you got to be careful because there was a moment. I think actually the moment that Solar won the game back there, it was when he sent the Lings up to the third base.
Exactly.
Killed everything, and then there was a couple more Lings that killed everything at the fourth, and then it was like now none of your barracks are going to make for the next minute or two.
Yeah, it was like the house of cards just crumbled, and that was really what KeeN was kind of sacrificing back at home to be able to move out on the map and exert that pressure there on Solar was, he can't commit to defending these exterior bases. He just has to go full-on aggression and just pray that he can exert enough pressure to keep Solar on his side of the map, and it worked for a long time, but in the end, Solar was able to clean it up, and when we get back, our final match of the day here in Group B, Solar versus Hero, we'll see you soon.